Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than my usual, talking about grief and some tiny house stuff, which I really haven't gotten into much yet. Um, Today is going to be my testimony. I have been feeling like I need to share it or want to share it. I've been feeling God nudging me to tell my story. Um, so that's what I'm going to do today. So it's kind of long. I will try to condense it as much as possible. So in the year 2000, I was living in Kentucky and I had my boys with me. I think at the time, maybe Nick was possibly living with his dad. I can't really remember. It's been so long ago. But my youngest Ben was with me. So it was a Saturday. And I woke up and I didn't feel very well. Um, I had plans with a friend who, my friend Laura, who has now passed. She died of breast cancer in 2004. But we were planning on going to a movie or dinner or something. I'm not really sure. And I called her and I said, I really don't, feel very good. I feel like I'm getting the flu or something. So we canceled. And that day, I just had flu-like symptoms. Sunday came around and I felt worse, but just, flu-like symptoms, stomach ache, um, headache, and just nausea. Didn't really feel that great. So I was taking care of Nick was with me actually. So he was with me. I was taking care of Nick that day, getting ready to give him a shot, and because he was diabetic. And I remember being in the kitchen and I reached for the rubbing alcohol up in the cabinet and I passed out. And when I came to, I had all that bottle of alcohol all in my hair. And I remember getting up and going and giving him, his shot and saying, I don't feel very good. I'm going to go lay down. But a little bit later, I had to get up and go to the bathroom and I didn't make it to the bathroom. I had lost my bladder control. And I thought, well, this is really weird, So I called my mom and told her I was going to go to the doctor the next day, which was Monday. And so I went and laid down and rested. And the rest of the day, I just, continued to not feel good. Well, Monday morning, I woke up and I was in a fetal position. My hands were like this. I was basically stuck like this. I was like crippled and I couldn't stretch out my legs. I was like, what on this earth is wrong with me? So I remember calling my dad and saying something is severely wrong. He said, I'll be over to get you and we'll go to the emergency room. Well, I said, Dad, I think it's past that. I said, I think we need to call the ambulance. So the ambulance came and I remember I lived kind of up on a hill. So it was two little hills to get to my front door. And I remember the paramedics just picking me up and taking me out to the ambulance, not even bringing a stretcher up. They took one look at me and they were like, we've got to get you to the hospital immediately. And I remember being in the back of the ambulance and I'm like, am I dying? I'm like, I feel like I'm dying. And they said, we don't know, ma'am. We just need to get you to the hospital as soon as we can. Let us do our work. They were um, hooking me up, I guess, intravenously. I don't know. They're giving me IVs of something. So I barely remember the ride there. Then I got into the emergency room and my mom was there and then Nick. So she had driven, Nick to see me. I'm not sure where Ben was at the time, to be honest. It was a weekend, so he might have been with his other grandmother. It's okay. Excuse me, that was Sky. So anyway, I was laying in the bed and I remember Nick coming up to me And he's like, Mom, you don't even look like you. You look like a totally different person. He goes, and I'm scared and I'm really worried. And I was like, well, I am too, honey, but we'll figure out what's going on. So fast forward to the next couple of days. They did blood work, which seemed like all the time on me. And they said, we don't know what's going on. Your liver is failing. Your spleen's enlarged. And we think I was diagnosed with pyelonephritis, a double kidney infection. And then later on, septicemia. Well, all the fluids that they were giving me was making me very swollen. So my legs were huge. I have little bird legs, for those of you who know me. And I don't wear shorts because of it. But my legs were enormous, and I had pitted edema, pitted edema. And they were feeding me, antibiotics intravenously all the time, and different fluids, whatever they were giving me. So then fast forward to Thursday night, they were like, ma'am, we don't know, you're septic and we're trying to get it under control, but we're sending in an oncologist. And I was like, an oncologist? Why would they be doing that? But they said, we've got to get to the root of it because your liver is failing, and it's failing fast. And they really didn't know if I was going to survive or not. That's the feeling I got from the nurses. They would never tell me if I was going to, pull through or what. But they brought in an oncologist that night, and as soon as he came in, he sat down, matter of fact, and he said, how much do you drink, Miss Francis? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't drink. I don't drink at all. And he goes, this is not the time to be kidding around. Your liver is failing, and we need to find out, what's going on and how to help you. And I was like, I don't drink at all, so I don't know what to tell you. Well, I don't remember really much more of that conversation. So he left, and I was in bed, and I was alone in the room. And I remember I was praying, and I was like, God, I need a miracle. I want to be able to read to my 2-year-old. Ben was 2 at the time. I'm like, I want to be able to read to him and tell him a bedtime story and do the simple things, clean my house. I want to live. I don't want to die. I want to be able to be with my son, Nick, and, both of my kids and my family. And I remember praying that prayer of healing. And for some reason, I felt like him nudging me, Michelle, you need to get down on your knees. Not that he was telling me to, that I needed to pray that way, but I guess I felt in my heart, this is so important. I need to get out of this bed and get down on my knees and show God how much I love him and how much I really, really want him to heal me so that I can be with my family and continue on with my life, because I felt like I had a purpose. Well, I got 2 pillows and threw them on the floor, and I was hooked up in both arms, but I managed to get down on the ground and start praying. And I prayed, and I guess I fell asleep because I woke up later, and I was leaning on the chair that they have in the hospital room. And I woke up, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to get back up in the bed. So I finally got back up on the bed. I remember laying there, and I felt at peace. And they came in the middle of the night and drew blood again from me, like they did every night. This was, like I said, a Thursday night. And Friday morning, I woke up, and I'm like, oh gosh, another day sick, another day not knowing what's going on. But they brought in food for the first time. And they pushed my tray up to me, sat me up, and I'm like, I haven't eaten since last Friday night or Saturday. And they're like, well, we brought you some food. They ordered you some food. And I'm like, okay. And I took the little top off of the food, and laying on it, on my eggs actually, was this. I still have it. I still keep it on my refrigerator to remind me. But it says, the Lord is faithful to you. And I thought, interesting. And the first thing I thought, though, is, why is this laying on my food? How unsanitary is that? But I read it, and I'll read it to you. It says, the Lord is faithful to you. I will praise you, Lord, with all my heart and tell about the wonders you have worked. God Most High, I will rejoice. I will celebrate and sing because of you. You rule forever, Lord, and you are on the throne ready for judgment. You judge the world fairly and treat all nations with justice. The poor can run to you because you are a fortress in times of trouble. Everyone who honors your name can trust you because you are faithful, who all depend on you. Psalms 9, 1, 2, 7 through 8. So I put it aside, and I knew I couldn't really eat the eggs. I hadn't swallowed any water in all that week because they were feeding me intravenously. So I tried some Jell-O, and that was just so hard to get down. I felt like my throat was just thick and closing in. So I put it aside, and I just laid there. And shortly after, my doctor came in, and she pulls up a chair, and she said, we need to talk. And I said, okay. And she said, I don't know what occurred during the night. She said, but they took your blood. And I looked at the results this morning, and she said, your blood work is perfect. She said, your liver looks great. Your spleen is still swollen. You're recovering from pyelonephritis. But you were out of the woods, and I don't know how that occurred overnight for your liver to be so bad. And now it's perfect. And I showed her this, and she read it. And she looked at me and she said, it wasn't us. It wasn't doctors. She said it was God, and it couldn't be anything else but him. So she said, you're going home today. And I was like, wow, what a turnaround. She said, of course, you'll have to rest. It'll take you, a while to get your strength back because of what you've been through. She said, but this is a miracle. And I just, wanted to share that with everybody. So that is my story. That's my testimony. I have kept this for how long? Almost 26 years now. And it reminds me every day of how lucky I am, how blessed I am, and how God can work miracles still today in modern day time. So I thank God every day that he healed me and he has a purpose for me. And, last year was very hard losing my parents and my son, but I still believe he has a purpose for me. And I just have to keep going every day and be grateful that he saved me. He saved me for a reason. I don't know. Maybe it's to share this with you all. I don't know. But I'm glad that he did it. I'm glad that I'm here. And I thank you very much for listening and for watching. Y'all take care and God bless.